Good afternoon, Art. Thank you for taking some time out of your holiday on this occasion to get involved and jump on our podcast this week. Would you like to go ahead, introduce yourself, and tell us all a bit about what you do?
Sure. Name's Art O'Hagan. I started a business called CPS Property back in 1987. Originally, we started as mortgage brokers because I had an accountancy background coming from university, but I've moved across to a focus very much on financial services. And then we moved to property back in November 1987. So since that, I built a branch. Initially, I was one branch, and we built across a network of 7 branches today, with over 60 staff. So been an interesting time when watching the turmoil, the high interest rates of 1990, which were 16%, which would have scared the life out of most people in business.
Yeah,
Which was 2 or 3 years into business when that took place. And then there's a crescendo of a very successful property industry through 2000, the millennium, to 2006, 2007, and then the almighty property global crash, which in Northern Ireland, property prices dropped by 65%. And the water tap was turned off as to anybody looking to buy and a quantity of people looking to sell. So that was a very challenging time for the business.
Yeah, you've literally seen it all there, haven't you? Across that time, two ends of the spectrum. Before we jump into your journey, Art, what who is it that you like? Who'd be your ideal customer? Who do you guys most like to work with?
Our ideal customer tends to be somebody moving up the ladder, somebody that has a property, so therefore they're buying a property from us and have a house to sell. So it means we're facilitating their entire move, and we're giving the carriage of the sale of their asset plus the asset that they're buying and looking after their mortgage, and so it's been
You just take care of everything for them from start to finish, really.
absolutely very much so.
Yeah, and I suppose there's less moving parts then when that you're in more control of the chain then for them.
Yes, and chains don't bother us because as long as we're in control of both ends of it,
Yeah,
we can deal with people's expectations,
yeah,
and keep everybody in the chain involved and clued in as to what's happening across and communication is key.
yeah.
Unless you get communication right, it doesn't work. So your first time buyer of that property, maybe they're getting a deposit from their parents. So
Yes.
there's which is very common nowadays. So parents are stepping in with a gift of maybe 25% of the purchase of the property.
Yeah.
They're buying the property, and there's any amount of employment out there. So most people are in employment at the minute. I think it's about 97% of people are in employment at the minute, which is fantastic. So they're able to get a mortgage, but they don't have the deposit.
Yeah.
Because they've had their gap year and they've had a wonderful, maybe 3-year gap year touring the world while their parents have been at home. But anyway, that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
So, and then that means they're able to get onto the ladder. The person stepping out of that position is able to move on up the chain, and sometimes that's downsizing as well.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
we be dealing with that in all Aspects.
And what is it, Art, that would set you guys apart, from your competitors? What is it you guys do differently or better?
But it's a family business. So I have 2 sons in my business,
Sure.
and they're both directors, and both switched on and know what it's about. Owen and Shane. Owen done IT and commerce at Queen's, and Shane done finance at Ulster University, and they're both clued in, and they're focused on the property aspect as well as a customer base.
Yeah.
So they've come in at a good time. Owen's in the business at this stage 10 years, and Shane's coming 5.
Very good. So it's a real legacy business for you now.
Very much so.
So Art, I'm keen to hear, from you started in business, what, from like the late 80s and high interest rates right through to the Celtic Tiger of 2005, 2006. What would you say was or has been your biggest learning since you've been in business?
The main focus, I think, in business is listening to the customer. Hear what they've got to say, and then with that information, advise them. A lot of people jump in to say, no, this is what you need to do. Everything's bespoke to the person. So, like, we're dealing with separations, for example, and the wife maybe want to remain in the property. Just taking an example, whereas a husband just wants to sell and move on. Well, he can't sell and move on. We have to listen to both sides of the story, and then they have to take legal opinion and agree on settlement. So all those matters, we just can't dive in, get a sailboard up, and kick on and sell the property. It's a wee bit more, and it's not complicated. It's listen to the customer, hear their circumstances, be extremely confidential, and deliver what suits the owners of the property. And that our client is the owner of the property, not the buyer. So it's very much and I know we're the in-betweener. So once we're appointed to sell the property, we're there to get the best price. And yes, work with 5 or 6 different people, get the number of viewings to take place, make sure the house is presentable, and make sure the client understands the importance of that. And then get the maximum price, but sell to the person who's in position to buy. And that could be a person that's maybe sometimes £2,000 less than the top bidder, because their conditions may be better. And all of this, I mean, we every day I speak about it every day, certainly. Have you communicated that information to the client? Is the top bidder aware they're the top bidder, but their conditions are not the best? And make sure they realize, well, they're not disappointed. They have to be real in the situation, because we have to deliver for the vendor.
And so you say, just customers right at the, or the clients right at the focus of in the center of all of that. What about you personally? What have you had to learn or change about yourself to grow a business from, even in a different industry, essentially, where you were in mortgages, flipping over into property, and then running a team of 60 people? What's been your biggest learning about yourself?
Well, the biggest learning curve I've always found is, you're trying to develop a person to build the business. I'm having to develop myself. So I'm having to, whoever my staff is dealing with, it's how they present themselves, how their training, their knowledge, their understanding of the market, their understanding of, as I say, listen to the customer, and delivering with in a 360 a peripheral vision, not just, oh, happy days I've got that instruction, or happy days I've got a bid. You have to think about the circumstances with this. So I very much am forever trying to transfer knowledge of information, that information is not just a tick and box exercise. It's has the customer actually said that, or is that what you feel? Because
two different things.
Very much so.
And but back to, again, just communication is the heart of all of that.
Very much so. And we will be judged, I always say, on our weakest link. So if we have a staff member not well trained, it's my fault. I take personal responsibility for that. And if we manage quite a few properties, and if somebody in the business doesn't notify the landlord that those works cost £3,000 or £4,000 before the contractors are appointed, it's essential that the first protocol is identify the issue. Is the landlord's responsibility? Is the tenant's responsibility? Is it a third party's responsibility? And then notify the landlord of exactly what has happened. Keep them very much in the loop, even though the tenant may be on the phone saying there's water running down the wall here, but it could be because of a neighbour's chimney. I mean, you're dealing with all sorts of circumstances. It's not a matter of just getting a contractor and get it fixed, and then lumber that responsibility to the landlord. So you have to be sort of on the ball and understand what you're doing.
It sounds like a fairly broad spectrum of responsibility, no matter what kind of property you're dealing with, whether you're selling it or renting
Yep.
it or whatever. It seems like there's a lot of moving parts. Doesn't sound like it's for the faint-hearted at all. What would you say, Art, if you were if you could give one piece of advice to somebody who was going to start their own business, what piece of advice would you give them?
Think long and hard before you get it, before you contemplate it.
Yeah.
I would always say have 3 to 5 years experience at least in whatever industry you're working towards.
Yes.
I would avoid partnerships.
Okay.
I would
Interesting.
say put your toe in the water, and whatever you do, small is beautiful. And it's easy to manage if you're managing yourself first and foremost and focus on your customer, and then develop from there. Some people jump in, buy a business. We sell businesses regularly as a going concern, and everybody feels I'll employ a chef. I can be a restaurateur. I can buy a bar. I might be able to get the finance. Maybe be able to get financial support.
Yeah.
And of course, I could pull a pint. But there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more
Yeah.
to it than that. You have to have your license and a license understanding. You have to make sure you have public liabilities in place.
Yeah.
So there's businesses not straightforward, and you used the word, they're not for the faint-hearted, but it's a much better place to be self-employed and set your own destiny as opposed to that set by a third party. I certainly
There's something
recommend it, but you have to be ready for the curveball equations that happen on a regular basis.
there's something you said there about managing yourself. Tell me more about that. What do you mean by that?
Well, my business on a daily basis, and I should say my son's business at this point,
Sure.
is very much based on it's not like playing whack-a-mole. Whatever pops up next, you hit it with a hammer. You have to know what's going to pop up next, and it's
Yes.
predicting where the issues are, understanding the problems that are likely to arise. I mean, for example, VAT is not a problem, but it is if you leave it to the last week of the year and
Yeah.
start to do your. So we as a business do our VAT monthly. And I could the 26th, 27th of each month, I know exactly what the VAT where we've invoiced out, what's coming back in. I mean, and unless you have got your payroll and your VAT and all those things in order, so you have to be a restraint in, and I do a to-do list, and it's a repetitive one monthly, and I
Yeah.
make sure that is closed out. And if any part of it's not closed out, I know the repercussions because I've learned from the past, and that's why it's on the to-do list.
You've had to
So
learn the hard way.
yes, absolutely.
Well, look, I mean, that's it sounds like you've just sort of systemized your month end, so it just
Yeah.
goes swimmingly. So, really, really useful advice there. And just to finish up, then, if you could go back in time and speak to an 18-year-old Art, what piece of advice would you give?
I would travel the world. I would maybe job hop a few times. Till I find as early as possible what you enjoy, because once you get into a career, I think you should then settle yourself. And by the age of 24, 25, you should have tried 3, 4, 5 careers,
Yeah.
or dabbled on them and
Yeah.
said, no, this is what I want to do. And once you make your mind up, that's it. That's it. You're
Yeah.
then on the saddle of the horse and you finish the race. And
Stick at it.
you don't think about it anymore. Just say, no, this is what I know best. And I've thought about it, but make your decision and get into bed with it and go with it. And I think it's very important to keep at it. It's very easy to drop out or change careers and to do something totally different because the one you're in is challenging. But the grass is always greener. But there's no point in thinking like that. Do what you do best. Wear
Yeah.
one hat and wear it well. Don't try to be haven't. But some people try to be by other businesses because they might have done well along the way. Well, I don't know other businesses, but I've
Yes.
sold lots of them. And most people that have lost their shirt is because they've dabbled in 2 or 3 businesses at the one time, feeling they can because they've made money, but because not everybody's, sorry, lots of people are one trick pony,
Yeah.
myself included. So
Yeah.
I'm quite happy to be a one trick pony in property market. and do that properly. But I wouldn't want to dabble in other businesses and then lose my shirt in the business that I have developed and built.
Listen, I really appreciate you taking time out and coming on. Some brilliant advice in there. Might take some of that myself as well, Art. So appreciate it, and can't wait to share this with everybody. And thank you again for getting involved.